So we had this lady here regarding the whole Nolan Wells situation and what's been going on with that. And she was saying that since he was the only black person there, that black people need to stop hanging out when it's just one black person with a group of white people. I do not agree with her. And I'm gonna get to another video about this guy who says the first thing we shouldn't be doing is throwing racism in there, but that's what you get even with the Nolan Wells case. That's the first conclusion people are jumping to, and I agree with him there. So let's get into it with what this lady says right here. She's a white lady and she's saying black people, if you're just the only black person, you should not be in the crowd of white people. Here we go.
It's either gonna get me canceled or people are gonna be like, you're right. So here we go. I'm just gonna say it. Black people have got to stop hanging out with groups of white people. And I mean that. If you're gonna be the only black person in that group, go home. Go home. Because these days, you just can't trust white people anymore. Obviously. It happens time and time and time again. You see one black person hanging out with their group of white friends, and they're like, "Oh, I've known these guys for forever. We grew up with them. I'm the only black person in the high school or something like that."
Now she talked about black people, you just can't trust white people anymore. I think that can go for any group. And I'm sure there's other black people out here where they've been the only black person in a group of white people and they've been fine. Maybe you've been the only Korean person in a group full of Mexicans. It's just those particular individuals who just so happen to be that race. We don't want to generalize, and definitely we don't want to speak in absolutes. That's even more than generalizing, because then you're saying it's 100% of that particular race that does this. I see where she's coming from, but I don't agree with her narrative of black people don't be the only black person if it's just only white people. And I guess you can throw any other race in there right now that's just focusing on the black and white. But I think you can be the only black person in the group. I'm hearing other videos of people saying, hey, make sure you're not the only black person there. This is coming from other black people. She's the first white person I'm hearing echo that with what I've seen some black people in videos say, hey, make sure you're not the only black person in a crowd full of white people because of what can happen. I do not think that's true. Can anything happen? Yeah, that's uh, human nature. You never know what these particular people who you're around, if you're a black person and they just so happen to be white, and what they have up their sleeve. But it has nothing to do with the whole race of white people in general. It's just this individual who just so happens to be white. And so her saying this, I don't think that's fair for it to be black people don't be in a crowd of white people, or one white person don't be in the crowd of black people. You're the only white person, you're the only Korean, the only Mexican, whatever the case may be. Uh, I understand from this Nolan Wells situation where she's coming from in terms of safety for a black man, a black woman, but I just don't agree. All right, let's continue.
Especially down here in the South, okay? Down here in the South. Obviously, we realize that these pieces of crap, the white people, will turn on you. They will turn on you quick. So not only do you don't have to be worried about the police, now you need to be worried about your group of white friends that you grew up with. And am I saying every white person's like that? No, obviously not. Okay, but better be safe than sorry, right? And that's a shame. But I just keep seeing it happen. And like over the past, like, 2 or 3 years, especially, if you know what I'm talking about, people have just gotten louder and prouder about it. So really, it all boils down to like a lack of empathy these days. That's a whole nother subject though. But yeah, it don't come from me about my hair. It's just them running 5 miles.
So that's her take on it. Like she says, close to the end, it's not all white people, but for her to even come out here and just put that out there, I do not agree. Yeah, this is an unfortunate situation with Nolan Wells, and I'm going to do a future video on it once the autopsies are done and they come to a conclusion if it's foul play or not. Will there be any charges brought against his friends, or will this all just be dismissed and that's it, depending on what they rule the case of him losing his life to be? So now let me get into this other video here where we jumping right to racism, and he's saying we should not be doing that, and I agree, because then the word loses its power when that is the situation. So I'm gonna let you all hear what he said based on the Nolan Wells case, and rest in peace to Nolan as well, and why he's upset that racism is the first thing that people are jumping to when it comes to Nolan losing his life. Here we go.
So let me get this right. Nolan Wells, an 18-year-old kid, goes missing at Horn Lake. And all y'all want to talk about is how, oh man, you're the black kid, don't go out with nothing but whites. Y'all somehow turn this incident into a racism controversy yet again. Y'all have sick, disgusting comments in every comment section, while this mother and this father and these friends that went out on this boat are losing their shit because this boy's missing. Yet y'all want to stay in the comment section and talk about, oh man, he should have knew better. He shouldn't have done that. Why? Because he grew up with them his entire life? They're best friends? It really triggers me how this world is just totally incompetent to just sit there and look every time there's a black person and a white person involved in something or something happens. It strictly goes to racism. That's your number one output right now, while a mother and father are sitting at home wondering what happened to their child.
Now he's right about that, and not that racism is not real, but to be the first to go to without any evidence of it, just because it's a black person who lost their life or a white person who lost their life, or we shouldn't jump straight to the whole racism angle. And it's more so gets jumped to when it's a black person, in this case Nolan Wells, who's lost his life, versus if one of his white friends had lost their life. You get more the racism angle when it's a black person who loses their life. But we still shouldn't jump right into there, because we haven't had conversations with Nolan's white friends, haven't seen their social media. Are there certain posts, certain things they're liking, sharing, commenting on, which would say that they're in alignment with racism, and based on a certain video that they've shared, reposted? You have to really question if you're going to say, okay, Nolan's white friends are suspected white supremacists. So just jumping into racism because this black person lost their life among white people, it could be that, but you got people online going right into that. It is racism and all that. No, we don't know that. Could be, but we don't know for sure. And that word starts to lose its power when it really is that situation. I wouldn't even bring it up to begin with. But let's say if I'm in a court trial and we dealing with approval for business loans, and certain people just don't are not qualified to get them. But then if I'm looking at the criteria and a whole bunch of people who are qualified are being denied business loans, and they look like Nolan Wells, I'm still not going to even bring up the racism word. I'm just going to go through the evidence and then let everyone else see that, okay, there's clearly a pattern of why the people who are being denied business loans look like Nolan Wells. It's so many, so many, so many, and they are qualified. What's the deal with that? And then you look at who's been approved, and if they don't look like that, then you can start drawing their own conclusions. Am I still going to bring up racism right then and there? No, I still hold off on it. I'd rather let the people who are trying to defend these people who give out business loans bring it up first, or just have it thrown in there from someone else. I'll let the writing be on the wall and let it speak for itself. If I'm seeing the people who are qualified yet are still denied look like Nolan Wells, versus the people who get approved and they look like Tom Cruise, I won't even bring the word up. You clearly be able to see that, okay, there's something going on race related when we look at the numbers, who's approved, who's denied, yet they're both qualified. and you can see it right there. But to just jump right into it because this black person got denied a business loan, I'm not going to throw racism into it from that lending institution, which is what he's saying when it comes to crime or anything else. Nolan is no longer here, but we shouldn't throw the racism word right out there as soon as this comes out and who the players were in it, because then the word loses its power. And then in cases where it's really racism, people are like, no, that's always being said. You jump into conclusions, and that's what it is. So we need to be more careful about throwing the racism word in here when a black person loses their life and there's white people involved. You need to stop doing that, or any other race. And you're black, and that black person loses their life to, and there's a whole bunch of Koreans involved, or Venezuelans, whatever the case may be, Indians. So I agree with him on this, and disagree with the other lady who says that you can't be the only black person in a crowd of white people. Obviously, this happened with Nolan, but there's probably other black women and black men out here who have been the only black person with white people, and nothing has happened. I see where she's coming from, but the fact that she's even putting that out there, is a shame in where we're at in society. So I disagree with her, and I agree with
Group of white friends that you grew up with.
the other guy right here. That's just my thing. I understand where she's coming from, and she's coming from that point because she's coming down, I think, that angle of racism, which is what everybody's jumping to in this case with Nolan Wells. Could it be racism? Could be, but we don't know enough yet. And his friends have never been questioned just about their ideology and how things are in the United States and what they feel black people should get, deserve. There's different questions you would ask someone who you suspect of being a white supremacist, being racist, and then, okay, once we get the answers, I can have a more of a firmer understanding, a clearer understanding of your point of views, and if the word racism is appropriate here, it's apropos. Is it apropos or not? So I think we should keep that in mind in future events if they come down the pipe, unfortunately, and you get a black person in a group of white people and a black person loses their life, or if it's a white person losing their life to in a group of black people, however it goes down. But let's not group white people, and she wasn't grouping all white people like she said, but I don't even want to put that story out there like she's saying right now. To If you're the only black person, you may need to decline an event because it's only going to be white people there and you'll be the only black person, so let me bow out because I need more people who look like me there. We don't want to get caught up in that. Nolan Wells, felt these were his friends, they are his friends, and so he went. No harm, no foul. Hey, we're about to go have fun on this island. It's summertime, it's hot outside. Why not? So I just wanted to come give my 2 cents on me not agreeing with her and me agreeing with him. And what do you all think down in the comments below? Is racism too quick to get thrown out there? It's always the first thought, into where the word could lose its power because it keeps getting thrown out there in situations where it does not apply. And should a singular black person, if you're going to be the only one, should not go to an event, to the beach, and everybody else is white and you're the only black person there on the boat, whatever, should you just sit that one out, or see if you can get some more black people to go with you first? You can't just go solo by yourself. Do you agree with what she's saying? Put all of that down in the comments below and let me know what you all think. All answers are welcome. And subscribe to the channel, Spending My Opinion on YouTube, like this video, and send any other topics or videos you want me to discuss to my email, which is down in the description, creegear.mj@gmail.com. I am out.